All right, doing a fight with Todd over here, and we're gonna test out the HEMA Kriegsmesser from Purple Heart Armory.
Oh.
Nice. Right on the arm.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Oh, that was cool. That was some rapier shit. I can't believe you blocked both of those, man. That was fucking sweet. First hard fight with it. Actually, not that bad. Pretty good. All right, so I just fought an Albion fetter with the Kriegsmesser. Now we're gonna fight the lightest fetter in the school, and that is the Siggy Light. This is a pretty heavy sword. This is an extremely light sword, much longer, about 4 inches longer. So we're gonna see if I can keep up. Fast. Oh, fuck. Yeah, it's like the afterglow on it is crazy.
Yeah.
It's like I can't get back fast enough. How was it fighting this?
Kind of intense.
All right, the HEMA Kriegsmesser hits pretty hard. We're seeing fraying right there, cut all the way down to the grip. None of the other longswords fetters have been doing that. So just keep that in mind that this is hitting with a little more authority. Holly, where did I hit you today? Like, where did I hit you that's not padded? The thumb?
Yeah.
Which one hurt the worst? Was it the thumb or was it something else on your body?
You didn't hit really anything that wasn't padded besides my thumb, which I just hit the side of the gauntlet.
How were the hits? Were they manageable or were they unmanageable?
They were manageable.
Okay, so nothing that hit
No.
you today. Todd, how about you? Anything that hit you today that was like not manageable or something that would give you pause, or was it okay?
Not at all.
And Todd's not wearing really any hard armor. He's wearing just is this an 800 or a 350?
This is 350.
It's a 350M jacket, and he was just fine. He's not complaining from any pain. So this is hitting harder, but not hard enough to be fight stopping when you're wearing gear. Holly's of course wearing the plastic gear up here, and even when she wasn't hit in those spots, you said it was fine, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I thrusted any of you guys because you have much longer weapons, but did I? I didn't really thrust, right? So very, hold still real quick. Okay, tell me if this is any different from any of the other swords. It looks like Flex is more, right? And then same thing with you, just put the flap over real quick. Okay, is that really any different
No.
from a normal fetter. This is an Albion. We do the same thing.
Yeah.
In fact, that felt like it flexed less.
Yeah, it does. Flex less.
That's crazy. So good flex on the VB Kriegsmesser. Doesn't hit hard enough where you can't fight with it, but just be sure that whoever you're fighting understands this is probably going to hit a little more authority than some of the other fetters in the club. All right, it's first day of decent intensity sparring, and the edge is looking like every other VB we've ever gotten. It's a little dirty, but there aren't any deep nicks at all. The edge is looking pretty good. Let's do a touch test on this. I can feel like just like normal roughness, nothing that's gonna catch, nothing that I would be concerned about filing. Oh, there's a little bit right there. What is that? It's like a side burr. I'm on the side with my nail. Let's go, keep going down. This is where a lot of the impacts were happening. Yeah, so far, pretty impressed. I like it. You.
How do one-handed strikes feel like that?
They're hard. They're not. It's not a one-handed weapon. One-handed weapon. I need to stop using one hand.
One hand.
It's not good for one-handed.
So when I was fighting the Kriegsmesser, anytime I wanted to be able to move the blade with any sort of authority, I had to have it on pretty much this last like quarter of forte. Otherwise, I was just either getting my blade deflected into a hanging guard or just barely stopping that blade. I had to get down to here and use just the muscle strength of that I have in order to move that blade around.
There isn't a whole lot out there on how to fight with a Kriegsmesser. There's no manuals or treaties that are left over, or maybe was none that ever existed. We don't know. But a lot of people are intrigued by this sword and they want to know more about it, and there's just not a whole lot out there. Right now we have artwork and a few other things, and most of the prescribed opinions out there for how to fight with this thing is to use longsword as a base and use some messer, maybe some saber with it because of the curvature. I fell into the camp of somebody who believed that this would just be one-to-one to longsword or a hand-and-a-half sword, and while a lot of that is still true, I'm finding that the way that this handles, at least the sparring version, it doesn't handle the same as a longsword. It does feel more akin to like a katana or a big saber of some kind, and as opposed to trying to find openings and being super fast and technical like as if I was using a fetish for it, I'm finding that the best way to use this so far, just my own experience, is to cut the opponent's sword away, which seems almost like a less refined way of fighting. But if we look at the artwork and the way that their bodies are positioned when they're holding these, it kind of makes sense. And I'm starting to see why they may be in those kinds of positions. Being able to brace on the back, because the only part that's probably sharp is this last part, but back here, you're able to brace over there, so if a heavy blow comes in, I can use my entire body to frame off and maybe run in and collapse. This binds better than any of the fetters that we're fighting, so the moment that you can push in and grapple with this, you usually have the advantage. And the authority of cutting with it, hitting a blade, doing a blade beat with this versus, of course, a fetish where it's very short, so or very thin. So if we take a look at AJ's, so I just fought AJ, the size of these blades is very different. You have a reach disadvantage against most fetters because you can see it's a lot shorter. It really makes a difference, guys. If you're not used to fighting a longer weapon, you really do have to change the way you fight because this has all the advantage in the world to reach you better. You might have the advantage against a fetter schwert is the cutting authority, being able to hit and strike and move this blade out of the way. If this were a true size long sword, I think there'd be less of that advantage because a long sword's going to be thicker or wider at the blade than this. But Kriegsmessers were typically pretty beefy blades, at least the ones we have in museums. You can see that while they're still crafted well and they feel good in the hands, a lot of them have thicker tips right up here. They have these like Yellman looking things, and that's going to make this impact other things a lot more. So, and there were Kriegsmessers that were way longer than this too. This is like a hand and a half size. But if you look at like the Wallace collection and stuff, they have, you know, Kriegsmessers that come out to like here. So it really depends on the sword. I would say that there is still a lot of crossover between the longsword and the Kriegsmesser, but to say that all you have to do is know longsword techniques, I don't think that that's the case. The more I tried using a Kriegsmesser like a longsword, the more I kept getting doubles and afterblows on me. But when I started using it in a different way, bullying the blade and moving it out of the way, similar to like a Scottish broadsword, I started getting much more hits. I started getting many more hits that I didn't get hit in return. There's a lot to reverse engineer here because, again, we don't have a lot of information. So the only way we can really do this is by testing it ourselves. And maybe one day, somebody in a library somewhere will be able to dig up something on the Kriegsmesser, but until then, it's up to us to kind of just figure it out.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed our review of the VB Sword Shop Kriegsmesser. I really like fighting with this weapon. I will say that you are going to have some disadvantages if you're going up against standard size long swords, but if you use this sword as I believe it was intended, I think you're going to have a little more success with it. I plan in the future to make a 3 to 5 video series on my journey of trying to figure out how this weapon was used, because again, it is a mystery to us. We don't really know how this weapon was used. We can kind of speculate. And so I think that that's an opportunity to do some fun experimentation and maybe come up with some drills of our own. If this is something that you're interested in, I would love to know more in the comments, so please let me know down below. And if you're somebody in the history sphere and you know a little bit more about these weapons, I want to get in contact with you. I would love to do the research and have a conversation and can learn more of how Kriegsmessers may have been used in history. Is the VB Sword Shop Kriegsmesser worth your money? I would say yes. The amount of abuse we put it through, we weren't able to damage it at all, pretty much. It's just little tiny nicks that we would get on any of our other fetters. I will say that if you plan to use this in your HEMA club, understand its limitations and also understand that this sword is going to impact harder than your standard fetters are. In fact, it may even impact harder than your techniques fetters. It really depends on who you are fighting and what kind of gear they're wearing if this is going to be allowed, and do not be surprised if these swords are not allowed in some tournaments. You know you can do two things at once, right? You can stop feeling sluggish and you can support our channel. Try our coffee. Duelist Elixir is a coffee made from Papua New Guinea beans and roasted in the Outer Banks here in the United States. It smells great, it tastes great, and it will make you a better fencer. And if you guys are interested in learning historical European martial arts and you live in Virginia, please check out our schools in Norfolk, Virginia and Fredericksburg, Virginia, both of which have weekly classes on different sword disciplines. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Bye.
Somebody in a library, somebody in a library, somebody